A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K. Hello, welcome back to the A2theK Wrestling Show for this week in wrestling. And as you know, it's customary on this show to kick things off by throwing it over to our pal Road Dogg for A2theK's little known fact of the week. Take it away, Road Dogg.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, we didn't know. But what we did know is that CM Punk returned to the ring at All Out, wearing some new ring attire this week, Anthony. He switched it up, going from trunks to tights. A little bit different. But did you know?
How old are you saying? Don't want to show his legs off anymore.
Well, yeah, there is that. But did you know? Historically, in WWE, you seemingly had to switch to trunks in order to be a major star. So, The Miz, for example, obviously he used to have this little short and little hat gimmick and his little gloves. And then after a one-night experiment where he switched over to trunks, while I think he was playing some kind of the Calgary Kid or something, or whatever he was doing.
I remember that.
Vince absolutely loved it. He was like, "You've got manly legs." And the next thing we knew, he was a champ. So that seemed to work for him. Another one, JBL, as we know, wrestled most of his time as Bradshaw, part of the Acolytes, the APA, wearing long tights. But as soon as he changed to trunks as part of his JBL gimmick, he almost immediately won a WWE Championship. Triple H, the Game, as we know, spent his early career as the Blue Blood, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He did go to DX, still wore some tights, but as he became the Game, he started to don the trunks, and there you go. Racked up more than a dozen, I think. How many times has he even been champ? 14 times, 12 times, something like that?
Maybe. 14 seems maybe a bit high. I'm going to go with 12.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Let us know in the comments if we're right.
Either way, he's been a world champ a shitload of times. And even Jinder Mahal, as we know, his time in 3MB, wearing his little crazy rock outfits and all that good stuff. As soon as he put his trunks on, Vince seemed to love him and he became WWE champion. So, yeah, CM Punk
so
has
essentially,
switched.
what you're saying is Vince is backstage with just like a box full of these trunks, these little tight shorts. Like,
well,
you want to be a star, don't you?
It's actually a trunk of trunks.
A trunk of trunks.
Yeah, I mean, Triple H is probably going to put that as new gimmick, isn't he? King of Kings, Trunk of Trunks. Let's go with it. But
there are ways you can have a title shot.
Yes, there is. Yeah, that's the stuff. So interesting. CM Punk has switched it up and gone the opposite direction. He's moved from his trunks to the longer tights. So, yeah, there you have it. The power of trunks. And that, Anthony, was of trunks. And that was A2theK's little known fact of the week. And we'll pass it back over to Road Dogg to sing us out.
Oh, you didn't know?
Beautiful.
Indeed.
So, this week in wrestling, Anthony, let's get
do it.
straight into it. And
let's face it, not a lot to talk about.
I mean, yeah, it was quite a quiet week
months.
in wrestling, wasn't it? Quite a quiet week. Not a lot of things happened.
Well, technically not for this weekend. Like, the main thing that happened has got its own fucking segment. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, if you are going to join us for segment 3 this week, we'll be talking through All Out and the results and our reactions to the show. But let's kick it off with this week in wrestling, and let's kick it off with Monday Night Raw. Highlight for me this week was the triple threat match. We had Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Big old men slapping big old meat. You know, that's something I'm a fan of. And do you know what? It was really, really good. It was probably one of the better matches I've seen in WWE in quite a long time. And surprisingly, a clean win for Damian Priest over Drew McIntyre, which... I mean,
I feel like I've been here before, maybe a few weeks back, but I don't think I've made the point massively because I was not a fan of him in NXT. So I'll make it clear again, just in case I haven't. Damian Priest on the main roster is one of the rare times that they don't seem to have fucked it up. Because I'm proper enjoying him.
They've done better, I think. You know, his time in NXT, he was like, I just won a title, I'm going to sit in a jacuzzi for no reason. It was like, right, okay. But yeah, like he actually feels like, I mean, you know, he came across and he was like paired up with Bad Bunny. It was like, yeah, Puerto Rico, woo. And it was like, okay. But since that, obviously he disappeared for a little bit and he's come back and, you know, they're, you know, trying the best with him. They're trying to get him over. And
in all fairness, yeah.
You know, like, Drew McIntyre.
when you consider the inconsistent booking before that, for like everyone else, you look at Keith Lee. All right, situations happen there, but look at the likes of Keith Lee. You look at what they're doing with Karrion Kross and that. It's rare that they bring someone up from NXT and don't fuck it up in some way. But I honestly don't. I think they've done a cracking job with Priest.
Yeah, definitely. You know, zombies aside, he's definitely looking like someone they're trying to make into a main star. And you know, fair play to Drew. Obviously, he isn't in the title picture anymore because of stuff that happened with Bobby Lashley and stipulations and whatnot. And it's kind of like it's a weird one because he carried the everyone knows my feelings about Drew. I fucking love the guy, and I think he carried the company in the the pandemic era, and he's come back to live crowds, and people are kind of going that route of like, oh, we're sick of him and he's too much of a goody and typical things you see with the good guys. So hopefully this is going to be a good thing for him to just be away from that title picture for a bit and try and re-establish himself. Not a big fan of the whole sword thing that he's doing at the minute, I won't lie. But
I think when you're less a character and more a prop, I don't think it works long term. But
no, but I'm confident he'll bounce back eventually, and he will. Whether that means him turning heel or whether it means they do something else. That
it's dangerous to try and bounce with a sword, so he's gonna have to lose the sword before he bounces.
There you go. See, this is fun and educational, guys. You get some life lessons on this show. Don't bounce with swords.
It's up there with don't run with scissors. So I'm going to have to jump straight over to SmackDown, to be honest, Carl, for the next highlights, because that's what this week's been like. And obviously, and I think we can all agree, that the Roman Balor interaction and the subsequent tease of the Demon on SmackDown was a very welcome thing. I'm not overly happy with Balor sort of being the filler for Brock coming back, basically. But that being said, if we're going to possibly get the Demon coming back instead of Mr. Pointy Pointy, I'm totally fine with that.
Can we merch ideas? We need that. Mr. Pointy Pointy. I mean, if you're like me, I completely missed the whole little heartbeat music thing, and I was just like, oh, the lights have gone red, it's Brock. And then it was only after everyone was going, oh, I was like, wait, what? I watched it back again. I was like, oh yeah, that just means the Demon's coming back. Obviously, we've spoken about it.
It actually did cause me to speculate. I've seen people going, oh, is this the swerve and actually the Fiend's coming back? And it's like, there's a load of people speculating, but let's face it, the one they've made obvious is the Demon.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. So.
No, it does. I think we've spoken quite heavily on the show that we're not a fan of Mr. Pointy Pointy. And obviously...
You enjoy that too much.
so good. It was so true. But... yeah, so, I don't get what his gimmick is other than pointing to things and being like, Balor Club and putting X's in front of letters. Like, can you just not spell? I don't know. But, yeah, I think obviously the Demon was his biggest, and most over thing, at least to me. I was a big fan of Balor when he was the Demon. So if this does mean that...
quietly what pissed me. It's not even so much that Balor was having a run as something else. It was the fact that he was quite vocal. Like, I'm done with the Demon. It's like, you're done with the thing that made you... That's like the Undertaker being like, I'm done with the dead man. Like,
yeah, I'm going to be an American badass now. Yeah, it didn't work for him.
No, I know he did.
I kid.
He didn't do it protestantly. Like, no, that's over. Get over it. It was exactly. Just a shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like the way he was making those comments about the Demon being done, that just quietly, I was like, I fucking hope not. And then I started not liking the guy because I'm a wrestling fan, so I'm petty as fuck.
Standard, you fit right in. But yeah, so I don't get what Prince Balor is. I don't get what the little crosses are or Mr. Pointy Pointy. Love it, fucking love it. So yeah, not a fan of that. But if the Demon comes back, I am down for it. If it's not a Demon tease and it's Brock or it's the Fiend or something, then yeah, I'm sure that'll still be entertaining as well. So something subtle, but got people talking, which fair play.
And I'm assuming you've put a really good image up of the Demon Finn Balor. So this is what we want right here.
Hopefully no. Yeah, you don't want to put your finger there. I kid. No, unfortunately, it's not a picture of Finn. It is a picture of Roman with Paul Heyman stood behind him, holding the title, while Balor is, doing his arms by his side thing, just lying down in the ring.
You've let me down.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I don't want to point at this.
Well, that's it. You just point to things randomly throughout the show and just see how you get on. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, that was all the highlights we had this week for WWE. So, to your point, yeah. But let's move swiftly onto the O-Shites.
We may end up including NXT at some point, but right now, I think given the shake-up of NXT. I think we're both a little bit down.
I am sure we will start including it more often when it becomes, Nickelodeon. I'm sure it'll be heavily feature
bright and colourful because that's what people want.
Heavily feature, predominantly on the O'Shite, of course, but I'm sure it'll feature.
Mainly because I respect her, right? Beth Phoenix has said to have a bit of faith.
Okay.
So I'm going to have a little bit of faith. The changes in NXT might be a good thing. She said she put a tweet out recently about like it basically it's new opportunities and let's see what happens kind of thing. Obviously she's heavily involved in NXT and she's Edge's wife. So let's give some trust to her. She knows the business.
And it's funny. It's funny that you say Beth Phoenix because I happen to have a picture up on the screen of Beth Phoenix now. You should point at that.
That one there.
Yeah, and then you should say I really like this person. Which leads me on to my first old shite of the week.
I know who's there now.
It's Goldberg. Goldberg, of course. So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of this at all this week. Obviously, off the back of was it SummerSlam match? I can't remember at this point. But off the back of Lashley versus Goldberg, we know that, Lashley got involved with Goldberg's son, beat him up and all that good stuff, as you do. Young, underage kid, you beat the shit out of him because that's cool. And now Goldberg has cut a promo on Raw this week saying he's not coming after the title anymore. He's not after the gold. He's after Lashley's soul. And it's like...
Yeah, he rolled his eyes back in his head.
Yeah.
Raised his arms up in the air and the lights went out. I get it. This slightly bugged me because it did feel like that Undertaker, what's Undertaker's old thing of taking souls and digging holes or some crap.
Taking souls and screwing hoes. That's what it was. Oh no, was that The Godfather? Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. It didn't land with me. I didn't really get it. It felt almost like the whole point you came back wasn't for your son. It was to win the title. So I was like, well, now that Lashley's hurt your kid, that's cool, but you don't have to go, well, I don't care about your title anymore. Like, if anything, you should want even more to take the title away from him.
Well, you see,
as punishment.
They've fully flipped it. He come back for his son initially. Then he come back for the title. Now Lashley's upset him, so now he's coming back for his son.
Yeah,
and
it's funny that
fucking mind up.
What he's really, but the undercurrent of the whole thing is he's coming back for the money because we know this match is going to happen in Saudi Arabia, and that's why it's not for the title because Goldberg will win that one. Unpredictability. What a wonderful thing. So yeah, Goldberg.
Agreed. So speaking of, actually, you know what? This is no shite, but actually probably more interesting than that. So I'm not even going to be mean on it. What the hell happened with Nia Jackson, Charlotte? What was that? A lot of people believe this was an anti. You know what? It certainly looks like there was a bit of shoot work going on there. Like, what happened? What went on there, Carl? A lot of people speculate Nia in typical Nia fashion clocked out when she shouldn't have, and Charlotte took some umbrage to it. But yeah, it was such a weird. Like, if it was a work, it was a very weird work. So I can only assume this was legit. Then pissed off with each other.
I've never seen two people have such little chemistry together. They are fucking awful every time the pair of them get in the ring together.
They really need to stop that.
This was a whole different fucking ball game on it. I don't know whether it was when Nia dropped her on her head or whether it was to be honest, I watched it. Well, I was going to say I watched it back, and it could be that, or it could be the fact that Charlotte slapped her, and I don't know whether she got permission to do so. And as soon as that happened, Nia instantly. You could see like a red mist come over her face, and she was like, "You don't slap me." And then the next minute, that's when it kind of all like started, in my opinion. So there's many different theories.
Because a lot of people believe that she was like, because it looked very close to dropping her on her head. But I've watched it back a few times now, and I don't know if she was like. I feel like it caught mostly her shoulders as it's meant to. I think it looked like it was bad. You know what I mean?
It was careless. It was unsafe, but she didn't land on her head. No.
And that's I would agree with you. I think it was the slap that did it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen other people, comment on like, oh, she was trying to get revenge for what she did to Rhea Ripley in like the segment before and stuff, and I think that's probably a little bit too convoluted. But I'm sorry, but when you said it was the slap that did it, I couldn't help think back to that weird viral video of like, how can you slap? I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have.
quality. But yeah,
the famous double standards.
Yeah. So yeah, for
yeah,
me,
this right here, Carl, this was just crazy.
What went on? That was crazy. It's a shame that I've already flipped the image over there. I haven't really. I just like to piss about with you. But yeah, so I don't know. It definitely seemed to be some borderline level of shoot happening in the ring, and I think in typical WWE fashion, I'm sure they will play that up and make them have many more matches and make it seem gritty and real, raw, if you will. No pun intended. So, the next shite we've got for you this week, we are going to talk about the main event of Raw. Another tag team main event. I just don't get it. Like, that one right there. I just don't understand how, a 3-hour show, the amount of talent, the roster they have, how we can be constantly just having like, that tag teams and like weird matches is like the main event on Raw every week. It just doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm.
So obviously the next shite call, and again another one I'm sure you're going to agree with, was the whole Heyman / Brock phone call thing. Like, I was a bit worried they were going to go down. Like, I kind of want them to go down this line of like the conflict is Heyman, isn't it? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't. So far between last week and this week, I don't think they're doing it very well. Like Roman being an arse with Heyman, like he wasn't allowed in the locker room or whatever there last week. That seemed a bit sudden. You know what I mean? It's like, well.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not have some like reasoning why you believe that Heyman's behind this kind of thing? I don't know. I feel like it probably could have been done better. So it's got to be an shite for me because I'm just not happy with it. I'm also not happy with the inclusion of Big E. Like, just a mere fact that he's even involved. Like nobody wants him in the main title scene at this point. I know he's Money in the Bank. I know, but nobody wants even this hint of suggestion that he's going to be involved in this shit. You don't want him in.
He is awful. So I'm just going to put it out there, he is fucking.
You really don't like this guy.
Horrendous.
This guy, is he on the screen? This guy.
Oh, he's not. So you're putting a Kayla right. You're putting a Kayla right now.
Kayla.
So yeah, Kayla and was it Kayla? She was interviewing Paul, wasn't she?
Oh right, okay.
So yeah, so it's that thing where the Brock Lesnar theme song is obviously his ringtone because that makes sense. Because people still customize ringtones for people these days. But
I haven't had a ringtone in like 10 years.
My phone is permanently on silent. So there
Same.
you go. But yeah, I don't know. For me, the whole Big E thing was just the icing on the cake, as you say. It was awful. Like, he's acting like, what was he this week? A janitor or something? He comes up and he's just like laughing. It's like, what is that? He honestly thinks he's ready now for the main event scene. He's not even got a character.
Again, I know
what is he?
I know we've said this before, but I'll say it again. Like, nothing that he did in the IC title scene led me to believe that he was ready for the main title at all. Anyway, he needed more time in the mid card in the IC title picture because that was a really damn squib of a run. That really.
He needs to understand who Big E is outside of the New Day, and he needs to.
Who is Big E? He needs to go on like a retreat to find himself.
That's it. He does, and I'm sure they'll do that in a series of vignettes, and we get to just hate.
It's just him walking through the woods doing his laugh.
Just laughing, yeah. But yeah, like he's awful. So come at me, whatever. Weird, I don't care.
He's actually awful. I think he was more of a character, like individually, as Big E Langston than he is now.
Yeah. I mean,
weird. I don't know.
There's like something just isn't clicking. Like he's not part of the New Day, so he shouldn't be doing that weird comedy character. If he is going to do a comedy character, what he's doing right now isn't comedy. It's nothing. No, he's walking around laughing.
It's Big E without the other two, so like he's no one to bounce off.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes strange behaviour, like you say.
Yeah. Awful. Not a fan. So yeah, that was WWE this week. For me, Anthony, I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5. I think even that's probably a little bit too generous, but I don't know. There was some. I think on on the whole, it was just very mediocre, but there was a couple of bright spots in there as well. So for me, that's what gave it the extra half point. So I'm going to give it 1.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you.
Okay, I'll take that. Feels weird when we don't argue, but I'll take that. So moving swiftly over to AEW. So the first highlight we want to talk about, Santana and Ortiz taking on FTR. This is the match we should have got the first time. Great tag team wrestling. Really, really good stuff. This, it was so unfortunate with Cash. Obviously, like for anyone who doesn't know, who hasn't followed, like obviously he got injured in that first match, but it was like the hook thing from like the turnbuckle basically.
It's like a really freak accident, isn't it? Like
to the point where he's been worrying that he might not be able to wrestle again. Like he hasn't got full feeling, movability in his arm and stuff. So
I hate to say it like this because obviously it was legit, but like it added something to the match because like I'm almost like so relieved that it was such a good match because I'm like, okay, we're good, we're nothing to worry about. Like, that might, I don't know, that remains to be seen, I suppose. But like, I don't know, it gave me a lot of faith, and I went into it a little bit nervous after learning everything that you told me last week.
Yeah, no, I mean, like this is the match we should have got. Obviously the result was different to the first one. Now evens it up, makes it 1-1. So I think we're going to get a rubber match between the two of them. And honestly, as good as this one was, I think they can go one better again. So I'm excited for the final match, and I hope that Cash Wheeler is still able to go, and this isn't going to like spell the end for him or anything like that, because that would be such a shame. But yeah, great tag team wrestling, something which we haven't seen, especially in the likes of WWE for a while. So yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah. Now tag teams are killing it on AEW. We'll talk about that more in a bit as well. But like,
yes, we
tag
fucking
teams are killing it on AEW.
Yep.
So here's one for you, Carl. I'm going to call it a highlight, and it seems a lot of people don't agree with this, right? And a lot of people, I think, are just like, they like to moan about shit. But we saw Conti going up against Penelope Ford, which was a really good match. And we also saw the return of Nia Jackson, which
yes, we did.
Is always a win, right?
It is.
But a lot of people basically oh, we've got talent like Thunder Rosa and so on, and then we have to have these two every week. And it's like, hang on. Let's double back here, right? These are both really good performers, and we're trying to push the women's division. You can't push the women's division with only a handful of people. So we need more matches with Penelope Ford. Conti's had a bit of time in the ring, but we need more matches with Penelope Ford. She hasn't really had a lot of in-ring time for some reason.
That viewpoint makes me think that people don't actually watch these matches. They just fast forward them and they complain about them. Like Penelope Ford as a performer.
Those opinions come from just looking at the card. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to this when we talk about All Out, but I think the AEW women's division is fucking gone from strength to strength. They've got such a varied, collection of talent now that it's amazing. But you've got,
and
obviously,
got even better as well.
Well, it certainly did. But you got your Thunder Roses, you got your Britt Bakers and stuff like that. But Penelope Ford is someone who I saw a spark in her the first time I saw her in the ring, and I think we spoke super early on, and I said she's got something. I said whether this will be like the.
Sorry,
go on. I was going to say, well, whether this is like the Trish Stratus effect, where she comes in and straight away, people will look at her and go, oh, she's just like some kind of model who has taken her hand to the ring, whatever. That's not the case. But, she's into wrestling. She's been doing wrestling for a while. But she's only getting better and better. She's got the look. She's got the gimmick. Fucking awesome entrance music. She's a character. She is a complete character. And it's somewhat, people like that within the women's division, that's what matters, is you've got this eclectic mix of talent. You've got all these different characters and these different heels and faces and stuff like that. So I genuinely thought the match that Penelope and Tay put on was awesome. And then to see, it felt a bit, at the end where it was a bit like, okay, what's going to happen? But then Anna Jay comes out and it's like, it all makes sense. It's long-term storytelling. The partnership that Anna Jay and Ty Conti have got. So, for me, this was a massive win. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole segment, the match and the aftermath.
No, I totally agree. And I think, as you say, AEW is probably going to be plagued with that reputation for a bad women's division for a while because they need to prove themselves. But when you like literally just look at it and you could start rattling off names in your head, it is getting better and better. And this match just showed there's talent beyond Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And I as you know, I'm a massive fan of Thunder Rosa. I've been like singing her praises since before she since she first rocked up on AEW. And like I'm always happy to see her in the picture, but at the same time, yeah, let's see more variety. Let's showcase some of the other talent we've got. Totally on board for that.
Yeah, and it is genuine talent as well. So I think sometimes people just give it a hard rap because they're like, oh, it's women's wrestling, and it's like, well, just watch it and you'll see it. It's good. It's good shit.
Exactly.
So yeah, highlight definitely. The next one. Now, interesting to get your thoughts on this. To be honest, Anthony.
I'm surprised because I can see the notes, guys. I'm surprised you called this a highlight because you were talking shit last week.
I was talking some shit, basically
about this right here.
We have seen about that right there, JR. We have seen this match too many times, right? There's been all stipulations, all gimmicks, like everything. And last week I was very critical, and I was like, I just don't want to see this again. It's been too much. Obviously, they added the extra stipulation of if Jericho loses, he is gonna, give up his in-ring career. Now, again, similarly, and I'll call bullshit when I call bullshit. It's the same thing that happened in WWE is when Cena and Reigns had that stipulation. Straight away, I knew that Jericho was winning the match, so that took some of it out of it.
You know what? I'm thinking the opposite. Like, we might as well do slight spoilers when I say this, right? I was wrong, but I was thinking this might be the mechanism because we know he's going on tour with Ozzy. We happen to know that, don't we, Carl?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what's the mechanism to get him off TV for a while, and then they'll write some sort of mechanism to get him back in the mix as well. Mm-hmm. But obviously I was wrong on that. So like you say, it clearly was signposted. I held a bit of faith that maybe, well, not faith because I didn't really want him to not be able to compete in ring. But yeah, I don't know. I was expecting it to go the other way.
Yeah, I think for me, I knew that it was going to be a Jericho win because I knew that, he said in the past, we won't know when his retirement's going to be. Now, he could have been doing a double bluff and all that good stuff, but he always has a little break and goes on tour with Fozzy. I think, there was a lot of people alluding to his 5 Labors of Jericho as like almost a little retirement tour. I think we'd spoke about it on the show as well as like, Hooven 2 coming back and stuff like that. But yeah,
so straight away triple bluff and he wins the match and then retires on his own.
Still retires? Well, there you go. Then technically you can still say you're right, but until then you're wrong. Damn it. But no, so you're right. I was hypercritical of this ahead of this week, and I think the promos from the pair of them, we know MJF can do a fucking solid promo. He's a really good talker, and we know Jericho in front of a live crowd with a microphone can be fantastic. And I think the pair of them got me interested again. So that is the highest compliment I can give them because I was so just not feeling this, and then the pair of them got on the mic, and then the rest was history. I thought, okay, I want to see the match now. So highest compliment.
Gotta give credit as well because like I sat musing on this the other day. It's like this guy started as Roadies. That's not his name. Cody's mate, and it's like you don't even think about the pair of them anymore. Do you know what I mean? I haven't associated him with Cody in so long, and it's like he excelled so far away from that so quick. And like you say, it largely on his mic skills. I know he can go in the ring. You don't like remember him for being the most technical. It's down to his promo work, and like he's been such a fantastic heel for like what 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely killing it.
I'm going to sound like a proper AEW mark, but this is the benefit of having a story arc, having someone come in and you feeling one way about them or whatever, and then the next minute a storyline happens and it changes your perception and you start to elevate this star, and that's exactly what happened. He came in, he was just like, who's this dick with the fucking Burberry scarf on, who's like Cody's friend, and you didn't like him then, but then when he did what he did to Cody, and straight away he was like instant heel heat, and he's only just carried that on ever since. So,
and you know what? Here's proof that it's him with the talent and not just the story, because they've tried to recreate that same magic with QT, and as it worked, as if fuck.
No, not
Sorry,
at all.
QT. Actually, I'm not. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, cutie. No, we kid. So yeah.
Yeah. No, totally agree. So, Carl, in the world of surprises, my next highlight is going to go to Darby Allin and Danny Garcia and their match, and generally the way that they're handling the whole Punk Darby thing. I think I had concerns, not majorly. It's great to see Punk back, but you know as well as I do that I was like, hopefully there's not too much time between, because Punk's first match was clearly going to be All Out, and I was worried about the amount of time he had to fill and how sort of talky that would get. But I really think, especially this is the final week before the pay-per-view, I think it was handled really well, and exactly what I would expect. And I think I even called it last week, possibly, Carl, that there's going to be a little bit of a kerfuffle, and then it sets us up nicely. It's not just going to be all talk, but yeah, I think handled really well, and it was actually a really good match. And I've got to give Darby credit, as much as I spent so long I don't get it, and I still kind of don't get it. He is a talented guy.
Do you know what? I like, genuinely, Darby has swiftly become one of my favourites. The guy is phenomenal. He can go in there and put on an absolute clinic with anybody, and this isn't a slight on Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia has come in and he's been in 2 or 3 matches and he is shown up every single time. And this guy is someone I didn't know anything about, and clearly he can go. So
this guy here,
yeah, Darby. I'm going to have to share these images with you before we go on the show, just so you know.
I like the guesswork.
Okay, I like it. So obviously, as you can see in that image, Anthony, which you were pointing to then, it culminated, that one right there, it culminated in a series of like stare downs between CM Punk and Darby.
The question I've got though is, what is going on with his face here? Like, it's weird that.
Yeah, that's face paint, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I know they're known for being injury prone, but I was like, geez.
That's a big bruise, almost like a Malachi Black kind of bruise going on. But no, so I think they handled it really well, because how do you get from CM Punk coming back to getting a match with Darby to a couple of weeks later being an All Out without them having any kind of physical altercation? And this was the way you do it. It was, totally it didn't need to be like a big brawl every week, or like, loads of people involved. It was just them, still adversaries to a degree, but also knowing that they were going to face each other and still having that kind of animosity but respect there. So, I can't commend them high enough for what they did in terms of handling that, all the way up to keeping Punk kind of away from aggravation almost up until the point we wanted to see it. Like, obviously he hit one GTS, which I think was on Rampage. So,
he had to hit a GTS at some point so that people can be like, oh my god, he did it! He did the thing!
He can still do things! I'm definitely buying the pay-per-view now. So, yeah.
Where's my ice cream bar?
Have you seen how much they're charging for them ice cream bars? Holy shit.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Jesus. $1 million man's going to be in on this. So they were the highlights for AEW. There were a couple of both shites this week. The first one to talk about is Paul White, the Nightmare Family. No, what are they called? Nightmare Factory? I don't even know.
Factory. They're a factory.
Just
we have
factory.
The family, the collective.
That's how little of a fuck I give. So, yeah, basically, you had Paul White, QT Marshall as cronies, and then all of a sudden the Gun Club come down. At a point, they didn't need to come down because there was no need to, help him or save him. And then the next minute, they turn on him, and it's like, well,
they're not called the Gun Show. It just makes more sense.
Yeah, it does make. Yeah, it does.
Especially if they're on side with Big Show as well. It's even funnier.
Well, yeah. So this just, I don't know. Like, what did this achieve? Like, they didn't have any part to play in All Out. So why do it? Why turn the whole Gun Club faction for like a 5-minute thing? It was just pointless.
I think the main problem all around here is the fact that the QT and his faction just isn't working. Certainly not for me anyway. So it's sort of, they may be potentially pushing towards something in the future with the Gun Club, but like, I'm not a fan. So like, straight away I'm just like, remains to be seen, because as you say, they weren't involved in All Out, so don't know. There might be something. There might be something they're building to there, but do we really care?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. So, Carl, next O'Shea for me, and probably not really a proper O'Shea. It was a serviceable match, but a bit of an underwhelming. Cage versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about this. You like a good mirror match, and you like watching big meaty men fight each other.
I love big men slapping meat. You can get that on a t-shirt.
And I think due to that, I think there's an expectation that this was going to be an aggressive, something to see kind of match. And whilst it I'm not going to say it didn't deliver, it just probably didn't live up to maybe what I'm trying to be careful about it being an O'Shea because this basically it didn't live up to what I thought it was going to be. It's not really an O'Shea, but you know what I mean?
It was borderline, wasn't it? Like, you know, you can be underwhelmed, you can be overwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? That's like the perfect example for this match. I was just whelmed. Like,
you can in France.
10
That's
things
right,
I hear
I've
about
seen that
you.
movie too.
That's it. We've seen it. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Did I expect more? Yes. Was it bad? No. So maybe I just built. I don't know. I built it up too much, possibly, but it felt like this has been going on for so long, and there wasn't a whole lot of build up to it happening. And I was like, okay, this is going to be quite good, and then it just happened, and it was like, well,
that's that then.
Yeah,
it's honestly right, and it's not. This isn't me like fully slating AEW, but I feel like that kind of is how the storytelling is. It's either like really well thought out and really well paid off, or not. And there's no in between.
Yeah,
it either works or it really fucking doesn't. And this is one case where I don't think it really had the right climax.
No, you know I love big men slapping meat and climaxing. So
these guys right here.
Yeah, that's Thunder Rosa. So the next O'Shea I want to talk about. So yeah, I don't know how you feel about this one, Anthony. I know you are a devout Thunder Rosa fan, as am I.
I have literally nothing bad to say about it, so whatever.
I thought this segment was hokey as fuck. So Thunder Rosa was
everything
backstage.
Except for the Thunder Rosa parts.
She was about to be interviewed, and she was very much just like, you know, more peppy than she usually is. So straight away I knew something was off. And then it was just like, oh, next minute Nyla comes out, Jade Cargill come out, and they just beat her up. And it just felt really hokey. And it just, you know, it's a really small, minor thing, but it was just really poorly done and poorly executed. And I get what they were trying to go for. They're trying to build Nyla and Jade Cargill as having this big alliance for the Battle Royal, but it just didn't work for me.
This is one of them things where they've just kind of rushed it. They've gone, we need this built up so that, like, because let's face it, and again we'll talk about it more when we get to All Out, but Thunder, the way it worked in the Battle Royal is that feud was there. So she went for Nyla and Jade, and then when certain people showed up, they worked together, and it was all for the aim of that. But they just kind of jumped into it a bit too quick with this. They were like, let's get this established so that when it does, so it makes more sense in the Battle Royal. And I think, I don't know, either they give it more time or don't do it, and we can still get on board that she'd have gone, like, everyone's against everyone in the Battle Royal. It wouldn't have been out of place. You know what I mean? But whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and she's awesome, so get it. Just leave it alone, Carl.
Shut up! Okay. I will shut up.
So, I think we're probably both going to agree on this. The last one, Carl, and again, I'm not going to call it a major O'Shea because, you know, everything's leading somewhere good. But the main event and ensuing shenanigans, you know, the Elite beating everyone down, and then obviously they put the cage down and then beat everyone up some more. It's sort of like, you know, we've kind of seen like the Elite can get a little bit repetitive at times, especially when we're building towards a pay-per-view. And I get it, like there's only so many things you can do with them, but this is something I would criticize WWE for massively, for the repetitiveness. So it's only fair to include it now, in that when you have too much time building up to your sort of climax of a pay-per-view, this is what happens. You end up with it feels repetitive and a bit overdone. And this is probably the O'Shea I'm going to give it, is that it's like, it's nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, it's not even that we haven't seen it before, it's that we see it every week. It's like we get it, you know, the Elite are a faction, they're heels, and so they should always beat people up and be, you know, a big unit. We get that, but I don't know, this felt like the wrong message to kind of send us home with for the show. It was just kind of like, it's shat on all the major feuds that were going to happen, really. Kenny and Christian, the Lucha Brothers, and the Young Bucks, and the like. So,
like, with the benefit of already seeing the pay-per-view, which we will talk about, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's like they didn't really have to, like you say, do this again this week. You would still got the same sort of payoff at the pay-per-view. So
yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I was also quite underwhelmed with it. I just thought, and I was critical of the fact that we constantly have tag team matches and stuff closing out the show every week on Raw at the minute. So it's
But again, it's like that thing, isn't it? It's like, we're trying to be fair, and if it's something I'd be critical of WWE for, similar to yourself with the tag team elements, then it's only fair to raise it here. And I think you gave me a statistic the other day, slightly unrelated, of the amount of rematches WWE have had compared to AEW. So we know that AEW is nowhere near as bad for it. So I'm not gonna come at them as hard as I would WWE, but at the same time, it's the same thing that WWE's been guilty of many a time. So we'll call it where we call it.
We will. So how, Anthony, would you rate the show? For me, looking at AEW over the week, not including All Out, which is its own segment, for just Dynamite and Rampage, I think, for me, I'm going to give it a 3. I think it was solid work all round. Considering it was the go-home shows to the pay-per-view, could have been a bit better. So that probably knocked off like about a half mark or so. But all in all, 3 for me.
I'm probably going to land on a 3 as well. I don't mean to agree with you too much here, Carl, but like I was leaning towards middle of the road, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff that I didn't like was just because I weren't a fan of that particular story. Like, I'm not a fan of like the whole Big Show and QT thing, so I'm not going to like that at all. That might be someone else's like brilliant. I don't know. Like, I'd love to meet the weirdo who is really into that feud, but it obviously does it for someone. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, even the stuff that wasn't working, it's not that it didn't fundamentally work or it was anything particularly bad, it was just that it didn't work for me. So I'm gonna avoid middle of the road. I'm gonna agree with you on a 3.
Okay, I'll take that. We're very agreeable today.
I'm just in a good mood because of stuff like this.
Yeah, stuff like that, which is the shite we just spoke about. But other than that, so the last thing to talk about, just what else was happening in the world of wrestling.
It's this stuff right here.
Oh yeah, Moxley, what a cunt. But no, so obviously the only other thing to talk about this week that happened in the other promotions in wrestling is GCW had another show the past week. Matt Cardona set up an open challenge for his GCW World Title, and it was answered by Frank the Clown. To which the fans went absolutely apeshit. They were fuming. Except it then turns out that it wasn't actually going to be Frank the Clown, and there was a certain group of masked people, one of which was Jon Moxley, who unmasked himself and beat the shit out of Cardona and became our new GCW World Champion. So, yeah, that in itself is a big moment. I'm a bit bittersweet about it. I think Cardona has done some fantastic work for GCW, proper heel work. Is it too soon? Maybe.
Well, I don't. Are they done? Because he kind of like he's been doing. I was a bit disappointed because I think he lost the title too soon. But even after the fact, he's been working this sort of shock, and he's been calling it. I can't remember what city he was in, so I do apologise. But he's been calling it a screw job, similar to the Montreal screw job. And he's really been playing this up that he's been robbed, and again just doing some fantastic work. This is the best I've ever seen Matt Cardona, to be honest with you. It shows you how hampered he was. I was worried when he came to AEW for a little bit. I was like, okay, maybe WWE weren't holding him back, but no, like the work he's been doing lately, he's fucking ace. And I feel like there's probably going to be a culmination to this where they're going to have a rematch of some sort. But yeah, for me, I would argue that he probably did lose the title too soon. I love the heat he was building. I love the work he was doing with it. So we'll see where he goes because, as I say, he's still working everyone. So be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've said before, if you get over in one place, you can get over anywhere. So I think Cardona is over and has been doing some fantastic work. So yeah, shame. Obviously, he's only just had his new belt created to piss the fans off with a spinner and everything. Like, wonderful heel work. So yeah, it does feel a bit premature. It seems like we're going to get Moxley versus Gage for the title next. So I don't know whether that means that we might just see another quick changeover and Gage gets it back, and then it's like Cardona Gage 2. Who knows? But yeah, interesting.
Or are we going to see a bit of a change on Gage, and he's going to screw Moxley over inside with Cardona in a shock twist?
People would stab him probably, which he'd probably. I mean, knowing Nick Gage, he'd probably love that shit anyway, so maybe that is the reason he wants to do it. But yeah, I can't see that happening. I think they would riot. But, it's exciting and it's unpredictable and it makes you want to know what's going to happen next. And that's all you can want from any wrestling. So be it hardcore, be it the main stuff. So yeah, all in all, a decent week in wrestling. It's only going to get better, which it did do. And we'll be talking about that as we talk about AEW's All Out pay-per-view. But yeah, another week in wrestling, Anthony. Another week. An agreeable week.
Fun-filled week in wrestling. So guys, join us shortly and we'll be discussing the fallout from All Out.
Yes, we will. And we'll be back from our old school outro. Let's play it back. Let's play it back for you. We'll be back after these.
You're watching or listening
to A2theK.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.